brigade units were called to the blaze at 78 Hickson Street just after 6:30 last night. It was the neighbours who raised the alarm after seeing flames coming from the nearby house. These smouldering remains are all that is left of the kitchen, an estimated $10,000 in damage. Firemen say that the blaze was the result of food cooked in oil being left unattended on the stove. The house was unoccupied at the time of the fire, which took 20 minutes to extinguish.
Former Deputy Lord Mayor Don Geddes officially opened the 52nd annual art exhibition, which is being housed in the Commonwealth Bank in Newcastle Mall. The works include a mixture of oil and watercolour paintings dealing with a number of different subjects. This year the JC Punch-On Silver Palette Award went to the Best Hunter Valley Landscape Painting. This was won by Anne Lemke for this oil painting titled Minmai on a warm September day. All works are for sale, with prices ranging from $40 to $350. The exhibition continues until the 19th of this month.
The main aim of the Games is to get the whole of Maitland interested in its town, give it community and sporting spirit, to put Maitland on the map.
Will it just be a local event, or are you hoping to get some of the big names in sport to participate?
We've already been approached by some of the sports that will be holding their carnivals on at least state level. Some of them are attracting competitors from outside New South Wales all over Australia.
What are some of the big events that you're organising?
We'll be holding Maitland's first triathlon. We'll have a regular fun run. Nearly anything goes. Some of the events, as I said, are having on state level. There'll be a state invitation netball, state selection tries for touch football, roller hockey is having a state invitation carnival. We'll also be having a Sports King and Queen event which will run over the 9 days of the sports, and a team sports competition. They'll be aiming for a total point score at the end of the carnival.
What type of response are you looking for from the Hunter region and in particular Maitland?
The Games is to get all of Maitland going somehow. We're not after the super athletes. It's going to be fun, friendly, and everybody can compete. We've been approached by the Sports Foundation for the Disabled, and they are holding at least 2 events during the carnival.
The tall gum tree came down during a strong gust at about 2 o'clock this afternoon. It landed on the southbound track, bringing down the overhead electric wire from 4 stanchions. It also became entangled in a northbound train, but no damage to the train nor injuries to passengers were reported. The northbound line was quickly cleared by a maintenance crew which heard the crash. They'd been working some distance away, replacing sleepers, and said at first they thought there'd been a derailment. The SRA is taking people by bus between Newcastle and Fassifern. Diesel locomotives are being used to haul commuter trains to and from Sydney on the single working line, while electricians are reinstalling the overhead wire above the southbound track. It'll be the morning before things are back to normal.
With all ports between Newcastle and the border closed, the search for the 12-metre sloop continued from first light, using 3 RAF Hercules, a Nomad fighter and a helicopter, as well as from the sea, with the Japanese bulk tanker coordinating shipping movements through a 50-kilometre wide coastal corridor between Nobbies and Crowdy Head. As with yesterday and last night, the search was plagued by driving rain, low cloud, gale force winds and mountainous seas, and was looking desperate until the white-hulled yacht was spotted around 2 o'clock amid a fury of broken waves about 7 kilometres east of Foster. Although the yacht has been found and a radio beacon has been dropped on board, in conditions like these, the drama is far from over, with winds gusting to 90 kilometres per hour and heavy seas still producing waves to 7 metres high. It may be some time yet before the yacht is retrieved and the American family on board is safe on dry land. When the weather clears, Bill Harley of the Newcastle Water Police will be in charge of the rescue operation.
Until the seas abate, there's no way we can put to sea. The waves at the present moment out there are over 7 metres.
So what must it be like for those people on that yacht off Foster tonight?
I should imagine it'd be pretty terrifying.
Are you worried that you mightn't be able to get out in the morning?
Yes, I am. Unless this wind abates, there's no way we can get out there. This wind keeps whipping the swell up. There's no way we can do that until that wind drops.
Well, how dangerous would it be for you to go out now?
It'd be foolhardy. I certainly would not put my vessel or my crew to sea in these sort of conditions.
Senator Mesner says that at the moment, people on social security are being penalised for showing initiative and boosting their incomes.
Well, we think it's one of the fundamental problems of the welfare system. Unless it's addressed, the future cost of social security will be enormous. What we have to do is to encourage people to become more self-sufficient in a way that they can be independent. Now, the only way to do that is to encourage them to take part-time work or to save in their own way by making sure that if they get extra income, their social security benefits are not unduly restricted.
How will changes to the tax structure help these people?
The idea is that they will pay tax only at the same rate as other people do in the community. The government's proposals, on the other hand, will take away the tax threshold that means that low-income earners would have a tax benefit at the low end of their income scale, and that will be replaced then with some kind of social security payment. What they have not told us is what that is going to be, whether it's adequate, in what way it's going to be delivered, and all those questions are worrying the soul case out of a lot of pensioners and low-income earners in the community.
The Oak Company now receives milk from 300 producers throughout the Lower Hunter, and according to its board of directors, an amalgamation with the Singleton Dairy Co-op Company, which serves about 90 producers, would have long-term benefits for all involved, particularly in the areas of efficiency, marketing and local industry stabilisation. The directors of Oak today decided to put the amalgamation proposal to its shareholders. Will also be asked to approve a merger of the boards of directors of the two companies. Should they agree, an amalgamation submission will then be put to the Singleton Co-op, which it's believed will also be receiving overtures from the Dairy Farmers Cooperative Company. The chairman of Oak, Frank Blake.
Well, it's in the heart of our dairying area. We have depots at Muswellbrook and at Hexham. Singleton will mean that we can consolidate the supply of milk, and we can service both our own suppliers and their suppliers more advantageously.
Well, should an amalgamation eventuate, would it make any difference to the farmers that Oak presently serves or that the Singleton Company serves?
No, in fact it will enhance our capacity to do a better job. We'll be able to look after the consumers just that much better, and that's the name of the game.
It was a unanimous vote today by the directors. Do you think that'll filter through to the shareholders?
Well, we certainly hope so. We've had an affinity with the farmers in that area for a long time, very close working relationship. We go past their factory. We believe that we can service them more advantageously than anyone else that's offering, and hopefully it'll come off.
Winifred Brown lives with her daughter and son-in-law at Wanji. Today, when we visited, she was surrounded by flowers and cards from friends and family. Even the Queen remembered her special day.
Mrs. W.L. Brown, I am very pleased to hear that you are celebrating your 100th birthday. I send you my congratulations on this happy occasion and may my good wishes for an enjoyable day. Elizabeth.
Winifred was the second eldest of 7 children. Her father was the Methodist preacher at Pelormain at the turn of the century. Her family operated the Brown Brothers produce store at Cessnock in the 1920s. And in 1939, she moved to Wanji, where her husband set up the general store and news agency. The store was operated by the family up until 1961. Winifred has 3 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. She has a sister, 94, and her mother died at 92. The family secret? They say hard work.
Figures like that are difficult to digest, even over a seminar coffee break, but these welfare, health, education and police department representatives know too well that the 200 reported cases of child sexual abuse are but the tip of an iceberg. According to the head of the Newcastle Child Development Unit, paediatrician Jeff Hardacre, there could easily have been more than 1,500 young victims of sexual abuse in the Hunter already this year, roughly 85% of them being assaulted by members of their families or close friends. He says that while the incidence of the crime is probably not growing, reports of it are, and therein lies the answer to combating it.
I think the 2 approaches we need to look at very carefully are firstly to increase public awareness so that when children give a clear-cut account of being sexually abused, that people will believe them and not say they've fantasised or made up a story. And secondly, a very intensive education program within schools and other places to let children know that they can say no and stop this from happening to themselves.
Well, taking this a step further, Jeff, is our legal system geared up to handle the problem of child sexual assault?
No, at the moment, and that frustrates people who work in the legal system as much as it frustrates people who work outside of it. There are moves now with the Premier's Task Force on Child Sexual Assault to change the way in which the legal system addresses this problem.
Even though it was not an official practice day today, 4 key players were honing up their skills for the challenge. One such player was world-class international Ian Davies.
Won it the last 2 years. We've had a bit of sickness this week, but everyone's been training hard that's been here. I think maybe it's an omen that we got beat that bad, that I think it's pulled everybody together and kind of woken everybody up a bit.
Are they the team to beat overall, Canberra, tomorrow night's opponent?
Well, you'd have to say that because they've won it the last 2 years and they're sitting in second place this year, so they would have to be the team to beat.
They've got big fellas as well as the likes of Phil Smythe, haven't they?
They sure do. They got a big Andy Campbell who's about 7'2", and he really intimidates people in the middle.
Can you beat him tomorrow night, realistically?
Well, I think we can beat anybody in the league. Just if we play well, we'll definitely beat them.
The other local international player, Mike Johnson, in superb form, is also vital to the home team chances. The Cannons and the coach Bob Turner know what to expect, and it should be the match of the season. If the Falcons are to win the NBL title, they must win tomorrow night. It's a confidence booster that they need after last week's hiccup.
The old passenger locomotive pulled into Maitland Station with all those aboard bound for a day of wine tasting. The tour was organised by the New South Wales Transport Museum, situated at Thirlmere near Picton. It has a collection of 45 steam locomotives, some of which are now under restoration. In its years, this particular locomotive became a popular mode of transport on the Hunters Railway Express. The 36 class were designed by the New South Wales Government Railway as an improved version of the NN class. They incorporated Australian design features such as trial smoke deflectors and bell pair boilers installed in 1953. Over their faithful service, the locomotives worked on the main lines to Wollongong, Brisbane, Werris Creek, Dubbo, Parkes and Albury. It's the first time such a tour has been planned for the Hunter region, and organisers are hoping that it will become an annual event.
12 women attended the first day of the two-day seminar on women in management. They came from both the public and private sector, some already managers, others on their way there. Dr. Moch said the problems women were facing were not isolated to individual countries, but were being experienced by all women moving into what has traditionally been a male area, management. Many subjects were and will be covered over the 2 days, also hopefully providing what Dr. Moch calls a support network for the women. She says there will always be stereotyping, but women had to realise that they could be effective managers by having the confidence to take risks and be more assertive.
We hold ourselves back until we feel that we can actually do a job, instead of taking a bit more risks in what we want to create for ourselves and enrolling people to support us, as men do. Men take lots of risks, and we have a tendency to wait until we know exactly how it should be done. So I would think that is true, that we, because of that, then we overachieve and feel we've got to do everything perfect, which again holds us back. We don't have the self-confidence that we need. Women are still, as we talked about, doubting themselves. I would say also another part of that is that women are not real clear. So it's sort of a two-kind of fold. Because we doubt ourselves, then we don't allow ourselves to look at what's possible and get clear visions of what we want to create for ourselves.
The special luncheon held at the Adamstown RSL Club was well attended by members of 23 women's auxiliary clubs throughout the Northern District. Guests at today's function included Joan Nix, who was presented the Merit Award for Service by the Governor-General at the Sydney Congress in May. The award is the highest one given to auxiliaries, and Joan's 31 years of service were adequate qualifications. Nell Murphy is also a recipient of the award and has served in the Denman Auxiliary for 40 years. Although both Nell's legs are amputated, that doesn't deter her sense of community welfare.
Like working for the auxiliary, I've held office nearly all the time I've been in it. And whatever money-raising efforts we have, I work those, I work on street stalls and everything like that still.
You must be very proud of your award.
I am. I was proud of them. And I told them, while I've got a pair of hands, I'll still work.
Good morning everyone, and welcome once again. You know, July is the time of the year that many people retire, and hopefully many of them will be going out with lump sum superannuation payments. So this morning I'd like to talk about the importance of going and collecting your cheque. And that also applies with the unnecessary delays that people will frequently encounter when it comes to property settlements. So let's come firstly to the retirees. Many people, without thinking, will say to the organisation concerned, it might be the government superannuation fund, it might be a large public company superannuation fund, right, the retirement date is so-and-so, post the cheque. Now, I don't want this taken to extremes, and I don't want to be overly critical of Australia Post, but these days it can take quite some time, and I'm not just talking about a day or two, it could even be 7 or 8 days, if not longer, for the mail to arrive. So if we're talking about a lump sum superannuation payment, for example, of $100,000, and that money is, shall we say, in limbo for 2 or 3 or 4 days, you're looking at lost interest to the tune of $40 per day at current interest rates. Now that's a lot of money. And I also make the point with regard to property settlements that if it can be avoided, make sure that the property isn't settled on a Friday. Because with respect to the legal profession, sometimes it may be on the following Monday or Tuesday or the following Wednesday before the cheques will be processed and sent out. So if you're coming up for retirement, or if, for example, you're involved in a property settlement, don't allow the cheques to be posted. Ask for them to be sent by courier, and certainly on the Friday, not after the weekend. And the same thing would apply in a different context. If it's convenient to you, you go in and pick up the cheques, e.g. from your employer or your former employer, and also from the solicitor involved in that particular property settlement. Now, I'll leave those thoughts with you, but we're talking about big bickies if we look at the number of people retiring and the number of properties being bought and sold every week of every year. I'll see you next Monday.